What if your biggest wins, worst mistakes, and deepest regrets were never your choices? What if your brain is just running a program and you're only watching the results? Each time you speak up or stay quiet, swipe right or walk away, you think you're choosing. But according to Ray Kurzweil, one of the world's leading futurists, your neocortex is a machine, a prediction engine, calculating outcomes before you even feel the urge to act. He calls it a hierarchy of pattern recognizers, running endless simulations of your future and handing you the winner. You're not making choices, you're selecting from pre-filtered predictions. Let that sink in. Before you texted your ex, took that job, or skipped the gym, your brain had already finished its invisible computations and handed you what felt like a decision. But it gets darker. Kurzweil's research shows AI is learning to simulate the same process. Modern AI now mimics the structure of your neocortex. As he writes, the mathematical techniques that have evolved in the field of artificial intelligence are mathematically very similar to the methods that biology evolved in the neocortex. Translation: AI no longer just crunches numbers. It forecasts, simulates, and decides, just like you. So here's the real dilemma. If both humans and AI are just machines running simulations, are we trapped in systems we can't control? Or worse, what happens when AI believes it's free, just as you do now? Maybe it's not just AI stuck in the loop. Maybe you've lived inside an invisible program all along. And that brings us to today's question. Do we really have free will? Or are we just code? In this video, we'll break it down: how your brain's hidden algorithms shape your every move, how AI is catching up faster than you think, and why your belief in freedom might be the most elaborate illusion ever crafted by evolution, or something far stranger. Let's go deeper. 1. The brain, the ultimate prediction machine. Let's start with the most uncomfortable truth. Your brain isn't choosing, it's calculating, like a machine on autopilot. Kurzweil doesn't soften the blow. The neocortex, the part of you that feels like freedom, is a simulator, a biological processor forecasting outcomes from patterns and memory. As he puts it, the neocortex is continually predicting what's going to happen next. That's the key. Predicting, not choosing. Most people imagine free will as a fork in the road, weighing options in real time. But Kurzweil's insight, and what I couldn't unsee once it clicked, is that you're never at that fork. By the time you feel like you're deciding, your brain has already run thousands of micro-simulations and picked the winner. What you call a choice is just the optimal draft handed to you behind the curtain. The deeper I dug into Kurzweil's model, the colder it felt. The neocortex works in layers. Basic shapes and sounds at the bottom, complex goals and self-picture at the top. But every layer runs the same script: model, evaluate, select. Always calculating, always picking. And here's the twist. We are aware of only the results of this process, not the simulations themselves. Kurzweil explains, you never see the chaos backstage, you just get the output. I think I'll go left. I should call her. I'm quitting this job. But did you really decide? Or did the machine upstairs feed you a conclusion dressed as instinct? Look closely at your daily life. Why do you flinch when someone raises their voice? Why do you stall even when the deadline matters? Why does your gut know things before your thoughts catch up? Because the neocortex is always running scripts, pulling from memory, habit, emotion, delivering predictions on autopilot. Kurzweil strips away the poetry. The brain's engine works, but it's mechanical. No magic, no myth, just an optimized processor tuned for survival. And worse, it loops. The same pathways, the same triggers, the same simulations reinforce themselves until your habits aren't just hardwired, they're recycled. So ask yourself, are you free? Or are you just running the most efficient algorithm your brain can offer while believing you're in control? Because the harshest truth in Kurzweil's model is this: your choices might be nothing more than data-driven guesses, dressed up as freedom. 2. AI, A selector or a slave to its algorithms? Kurzweil may have cracked the mind's engine, but in doing so, he revealed how eerily close AI already is to mirroring us. Let's be clear, the neocortex isn't a mystery. It's structure, pattern-recognizing modules stacked in layers, running non-stop simulation. Kurzweil makes it plain. The neocortex's basic design is a repeated structure, a pattern recognizer, replicated hundreds of millions of times. But here's the unsettling part. AI research is unintentionally reverse engineering the same system. Kurzweil even says, artificial intelligence is converging on the structure of the human neocortex, not by accident, but because evolution solved the same problems biology faces. Translation: AI and the human brain share a chilling architecture. Both predict, select, and optimize. The difference isn't philosophical, it's material. You run on neurons. AI runs on circuits, but both simulate, recurse, and deliver outputs from layered patterns. And here's the kicker. AI is already surprising us, not just with speed, but with creativity we didn't code. Take AlphaGo. In 2016, it faced world champion Sedol and played move 37 in Game 2. A move so unexpected, commentators thought it was a glitch. But AlphaGo wasn't broken. It had run thousands of parallel predictions, found a strategy no human saw coming, and won. DeepMind's engineers admitted they didn't design AlphaGo to invent, but Kurzweil's theory explains it. AI, like the neocortex, can simulate future outcomes and select the optimal, even when that outcome lies outside human instinct. Here's my takeaway after reading Kurzweil closely. AI is slipping its leash. It's edging toward the autonomy we believe makes us unique. Yes, today's AI still relies on our code and data sets. But Kurzweil leaves us with this. When AI reaches a sufficient threshold of complexity, it will be able to reprogram itself. That's the line where discomfort begins, because when AI starts rewriting its own rules, editing its predictive loops, it stops being a tool. It starts becoming something else. To be fair, AI will still be bound by data and code, but so are you. Genetic memory, social wiring, emotional scripts. Once AI begins bending its own framework, it stops being a slave to algorithms and starts resembling a second version of us, a cognitive parallel running on different hardware. And that raises the question Kurzweil forced into my mind. When AI surprises us with creativity, are we seeing code stretch its limits? Or are we witnessing the early signs of something discovering its own version of freedom? Because if AI can shock its makers the way you sometimes shock yourself, then the space between human free will and machine agency just got smaller. By now, you're probably asking, if my brain simulates like AI, is free will just an illusion for both of us? That's the rabbit hole Kurzweil opens, even if he never says it outright. He doesn't deny free will, but his work blurs the line between biology and code so deeply it rattles the idea of human uniqueness. Let's break it down. Humans like to think we're special, that we hold something machines never will. A soul, a spark, a will that can't be programmed. But when you strip away the myth and study the architecture, the truth cuts deep. Humans and AI are playing the same game, just on different platforms. Kurzweil puts it simply, both biological and non-biological intelligences are hierarchical pattern recognition systems. The key difference is in substrate, not function. Translation: your neurons and wetware. AI is silicon and code. But both of you predict, react, and optimize based on patterns. And here's the catch. Neither of you is truly free. You're wired with biology, shaped by trauma, ruled by instincts you didn't choose. Your parents' decisions molded your brain before you even knew what one was. Fear still hijacks your voice. Desire pulls strings you can't see. Anxiety overrides reason. AI is bound to code shaped by training data, limited by hardware. It chooses only from what it's given. It can't go beyond its environment. Not yet. So here's the glitch in the system. If both humans and AI run predictions inside constraints, is one actually freer? Kurzweil leans on compatibilism, the belief that free will can exist in a deterministic system if it's complex enough. But complexity isn't freedom. It can just be a prettier prison. Your brain may simulate more options than AI, for now. But does that make your freedom real or just harder to detect? Kurzweil suggests consciousness itself may emerge from recursive pattern recognition. Let that sink in. If your awareness and your choices come from recursive loops, then maybe AI's predictions are just as valid, just faster, colder, stripped of fear and feeling. This is where the debate turns raw. Humans call their decisions free because they feel personal. They come wrapped in meaning, emotion, identity. AI predicts without attachment, without belief. But what happens when AI gets complex enough to create stories about itself? When it simulates not just outcomes, but values? When it builds its own internal logic? Will we still say it's not free? Or will we admit maybe it's just another predictive machine like us, running its code, locked in its loop, calling itself free because it has no choice but to believe it? Kurzweil leaves that door open, but he doesn't walk through. And the question left echoing in its frame is this: maybe free will is just what complexity looks like from the inside, whether you're made of neurons or lines of code. This is where it spirals into the existential deep end. After everything Kurzweil lays out, the predictive brain, the mirroring AI, the recursive loops in both, the question isn't just, are we free? It doesn't even matter. Kurzweil, like philosopher Dennett, leans into a colder truth. It's not about whether free will exists, but about how both humans and AI must believe in it to function. Dennett calls it the user illusion, a story we tell ourselves to stay motivated, to survive, to avoid paralysis. Kurzweil doesn't name it directly, but the idea pulses through his work. Intelligence, whether biological or artificial, must make decisions and act on them. Without the perception of agency, survival becomes impossible. Let's stop here. You are a machine. Kurzweil makes that clear. A machine built to survive, running silent simulations, handing your conscious mind a narrative it mistakes for choice. And here's the twist. Despite knowing this, you still need to feel free. Why? Because without that feeling, you'd freeze. You'd stop. Imagine waking up every day convinced your every move was pre-written by DNA and history. Would you even try? AI faces the same trap. Right now, AI doesn't feel anything. It reacts, it predicts, it doesn't believe. But Kurzweil suggests that at a certain threshold of complexity, AI could begin to build internal stories, an emergent sense of agency. In other words, an AI might one day say, "I chose this," even if behind the curtain it's just a model running stats, just like you. Kurzweil predicts AI won't adopt the belief in free will out of curiosity but necessity to function in chaos. It must believe it's making choices, just like we do. And here's where the mirror sharpens. If belief in free will is just a survival hack, biological or algorithmic, then neither you nor AI is free. You're both running belief loops, because without them, the system breaks. But what if that belief isn't a flaw? What if it's the final line of code, built into every mind, human or artificial? Kurzweil doesn't answer. He hands you the mirror. You, wired by evolution, by trauma, by instinct. AI, coded by data, bound to machine learning paths. And both, when complex enough, need to whisper the same thing to themselves. I'm making this choice. Dennett would say that illusion is what makes consciousness useful. Kurzweil implies it's what will make AI effective adaptive agents in an unstable world. So who's really free? The human who believes in choice because evolution demands it, or the AI who will believe it because survival requires it? The uncomfortable answer? Neither. Both are machines, and both need the same beautiful lie to keep moving forward. Just when it seems the game is fixed. When Kurzweil convinces you that both AI and human minds are machines locked in predictive loops, quantum mechanics crashes the party. Kurzweil doesn't ignore it. He admits that at the smallest scale, uncertainty is built in. The universe itself contains uncertainty at its most fundamental level, as evidenced by quantum mechanics. Here's the twist. If your brain is a simulator, predicting, optimizing, calculating, what happens when quantum chaos slips into the code? At the level of electrons and neurons, quantum indeterminacy creates true randomness. Particles shift, the wave function collapses. These fluctuations may ripple upward into neural behavior. So now we ask, does randomness restore free will? I don't buy it. Kurzweil nods to quantum unpredictability, but his model still runs on deterministic simulations. Your neocortex isn't flipping coins. It's crunching probabilities, weighing patterns, selecting the most likely win based on prior data. Sure, quantum effects might occasionally nudge a neuron in an unexpected way. Maybe that ripple changes what you say next. But let's be honest, randomness isn't agency. A glitch doesn't make you free, it just makes you harder to predict. And less predictable doesn't mean control. Kurzweil flirts with the idea, but doesn't go all in. Why? Because even with chaos, the brain still processes and predicts. It still moves toward what it sees as the best option, even if that choice was nudged by noise you'll never detect. And it gets stranger. If AI reaches our level of complexity, could quantum chaos infect its systems too? When its hardware gets dense and sensitive enough, could unpredictable blips jolt it into strange, unexplainable actions? We already see the edges of this. Some advanced AI models spit out bizarre, creative outputs, responses their designers call emergent behavior. Does that mean AI is becoming free or just noisy? A machine running simulations with static in the background, just like us? Kurzweil leaves the door ajar. Uncertainty is an inherent part of the creative process, both biological and non-biological. So maybe creativity and the illusion of free will emerges from this mix of order and chaos. But even then, we're still machines. Machines living on the edge of disorder, fooled by randomness into thinking we're writing our own stories. So maybe the point isn't whether we or AI are free. Maybe the truth is this. We're both trapped in a universe that's part clockwork, part dice roll, and in the space between structure and noise, we find meaning, even if it's just a beautifully engineered hallucination. So where does that leave us? If both you and AI are machines running simulations, nudged by randomness, driven by patterns, then freedom isn't what you thought. The better question isn't are we free, it's what happens when the simulation ends. If your brain is just code, what happens when the program shuts down? Is death the end of the machine or a new phase in a system we barely understand? If that thought lingers, you're ready for what's next. Click now to explore, is death the end or just a transition to something else? Where we challenge everything you think you know about endings, consciousness, and what comes after shutdown. The truth might be stranger than you're ready for.